everyone, welcome to another Random Talk Sunday, and today I thought it would be interesting to briefly address my thoughts in regards to the news. Now, I did reference politics a while back and how I think the whole system is all just completely messed up, and I don't like the whole idea of having two parties and, the whole bias and spin that goes with that. And yeah, I think the news sort of reflects a similar sort of a objective, especially when they try to insert politics within their programming. But generally speaking, I think the news is obviously important. I mean, it's good to know what is going on in the world and how the world uh, is changing and what's relevant that is out there to know about. But I think there's a lot of kind of negative aspects to the news, especially nowadays, where it's kind of designed to, you know, maybe either over exaggerate or pick a side on a certain issue. And also, there's a lot of negative things that are showcased within the news constantly every single day. So and so died in so and so area. This person is put on trial for murder. There are wars going on and all of this other, just negative energy that just comes out of it, that it's hard for me to watch sometimes. It's not, the news is not something that I really enjoy all that much watching. There's nothing a whole lot that's really uplifting about the news. It's all about sort of generating this kind of drama. Sometimes they'll put in pointless drama, like again talking about, celebrities or, or addressing things that really don't have any huge amount of relevance. Like, oh, look at this viral video that came out. That they'll just talk about things that I think don't really have a whole lot of significance, and when they are fairly significant, they usually display a lot of negative information out there. And it just gets tiring to watch. I mean, why sit and see the messed up part of our world? Like, why do I need to watch that? So I think more so on a national level, you could say that the negativity is kind of more more focused on maybe than like local news, because like local news, they kind of touch on some good things that are going on. But it seems like for the most part there is this sense of trying to create some kind of drama surrounding something, whether that something be fairly significant and tragic or whether it be something that is complete nonsense. And also, I think a lot of reporters and news broadcasters don't really do a whole good job at reporting things. Not all. I mean, I think there are good exceptions out there, but it seems like a majority of them, they ask very very just mind-blowingly, like they just don't treat certain situations kind of delicately, I think. I think they just kind of want to, you can kind of tell that they just want to get the story out of somebody. Like, for example, this is probably a common question that you have heard probably news reporters say and ask the person, especially if it's a tragic event, how did that make you feel? And to me, that is just a very inappropriate question to ask somebody, especially if they've gone through something like really, really bad. I mean, what do you have the right to ask how they feel? I mean, I just think it's just such a horrible question to ask. And then sometimes they'll ask really dumb questions, like questions where you go, I wouldn't even be thinking of asking this person this question. Like, what's the point of you asking the person this question? And there's just like they'll say like, is this good? Is this bad? They'll make the questions fairly generic. And again, it's kind of all suited to create some kind of effect. And to me, a lot of the times they don't do a good job. I mean, there are exceptions, obviously, but I mean, largely, I think reporters fall into this kind of trap of not really doing as good of a job when it comes to handling certain reports that come out. So I think there's just something about that really does bother me about the news in general. It's just that they sometimes just don't know how to ask questions and bring up things that are really truly relevant. Or they'll stick on a topic that clearly does not need to be discussed for like 2 hours. And it's almost like they either want to distract people from maybe something that's actually, really important that they're not reporting on, or they just want to drag something out because they have really nothing else to talk about. So yeah, I think those things really do end up happening a lot more often today than they have in the past. And I think that drives sort of an annoyance with me when it comes to the way news is sort of showcased. Also, what I think is very important to note is that I think, largely speaking, newspapers, in particular with the rise of television and of the internet, I think really newspapers and all that kind of stuff has become fairly less relevant, especially considering that people of this generation are more visual. They like to kind of be fed the information rather than just reading through the lines and everything. And again, a lot of people I think today do not read at all. So I think again, unless they have maybe a specific background that they're interested in, and they'll read up on certain topic. But that's the only way I see articles and news sort of being relevant anymore, because I don't think anybody really reads all too much. There's just too much other things going on, and it is a lot easier to just turn on the television, go on the internet, and find some news, as opposed to trying to buy a newspaper and read through a newspaper. Also, I think there is a lot of bias within the news media when you hear news reports. MSNBC and Fox News, I think, are a perfect example of this. MSNBC puts a liberal spin on things. Fox News puts a conservative spin on things. And when you do this, it really clouds the ability to, I think, find truth, because you're always going to have some kind of bias towards this particular side that you're trying to make people believe in. And I think that's something that I think really is lacking within the news, because now they just want to take a story and they want to spin it however they want to, and it'll suit whatever bias that they have. So the way MSNBC reads the same exact story is not the exact same way Fox presents that story. So you when you watch these channels, you will clearly see this. They are trying to meddle with the information, and in doing so, put a spin on it, whether it be a liberal spin or a conservative spin on the information, instead of actually just saying, hey, there's this information out here. Let's maybe talk about it. Let's maybe kind of, bring in some, kind of rational discussion here. No, let's sensationalize it and put our own kind of bias in it. And I think that's what a lot of news stations do nowadays. They don't really like to put out the facts so much as they like to put what facts sort of suit their narrative um, of what's supposed to maybe be the truth. So I think that's a huge problem that I think a lot of people probably have when it comes to the news nowadays is this whole, you know, um, us versus them spin on a story. And turning it into something political, turning an event into something that is maybe not necessarily having a particular bias. It just has, it's just an event that happened. So yeah, I think that's something that's, I think, really drawn a lot of people sort of away from sort of the mainstream sort of media, is this constant bickering. And I think that bickering is only enhanced when you put both sides of the people that are on the debate of one particular issue and you put them down and sit them down in a room, and you have them blah blah blah, and they basically just talk over each other. They don't have an actual conversation. um and usually this is in the form of guests, like reporters will like interview someone who's more conservative, and then they'll interview somebody who's more liberal, and then they'll just talk, and then they'll just debate each other to death because they don't care about the truth, they care about winning the argument. So I think that's really the biggest problem is that that the news tries to give these two sides platforms when maybe it's not even necessarily a political issue of what the story was, but they try to put in both sides, and then both sides just argue for their position, and they don't get to where the truth is. It's just all just talk. Um, and it's not really, really showcasing actual information. It's just fighting for the sake of fighting because people like it when people debate one another. Um, even though that debating doesn't really lead to any real truth that gets out there. Um, so, and also I think there is a level of um, arrogance from certain uh, reporters or anchors um, that I think is very unsettling. Like they'll have a guest on and they'll sort of talk down to the guest and they'll try to, like hammer in all of their questions, instead of not giving the guest kind of time to breathe and ask questions. And when you bring on multiple guests, people interrupt each other, people talk over one another, and it's just one huge big mess a lot of the time. So the thing that I don't get is why have this sort of I guess this can go both ways. I think sometimes the guests can be fairly arrogant and rude to the others that are on the show or on the news station or the anchor. But I've commonly seen the anchor kind of be this usually this kind of this one particular figure who's trying to kind of read into people, and in doing so try to kind of put a how do you say try to spin the story with the guest and try to get the guest to basically the anchor asks the questions, but at the same time he's only doing that to try to get the answer that ultimately the anchor wants to hear, not maybe what's actually true or relevant. And so they'll talk over the person who they invite, and they show this kind of it's just very, I think it just comes off as very rude to me, especially when they show this kind of they just come off as wanting to not really show news. They just want to start drama, and they want to feel high and mighty, like they're on some kind of throne, talking down to talking down to all of the rest of the people, and I don't think that allows for any kind of actual debate. And I think a lot of news reporters just, again, this is not just one particular side, or I'm not saying that everybody from one particular station has some particular, bias that they want to shove constantly down everybody's throat. But I think there is a common pattern that I've seen with a lot of news anchors who've tried, especially political ones who do try and, force their opinion and consider it as fact. And I don't think that leads to anything better. You're not having a conversation with someone, you're just interviewing them, and in doing so, you're interviewing them for the sake of getting your own already biased view out there as correct. So again, they invite people, and then they don't want them to really give them the actual answers. They just want to give them the answers that they want to hear. So I think that's really a huge problem, and I've seen this constantly, and it's annoying. It just annoys me to no end that these people constantly do this, and it gets annoying. And it gets annoying too when you have the left and the right talking constantly and feeling like that they have to go and ring this thing in, and they have to make it some kind of political, social issue that maybe it wasn't necessarily part of originally to begin with in the story. So again, there is this, I think, arguing that goes on constantly within the news, and again, a lot of it is driven sort of politically, and it just gets so frustrating. It's just so frustrating to listen to these people yelling and talking over one another, and again, they just want to win. They don't want to go to the truth. They just want to win. And I think that's a problem, because you're not giving people facts, you're giving people opinions. But again, I think there are definitely news stations who do try to kind of stay away from this angle. I wouldn't say a lot of news stations do this within the United States. I think with the United States is a little bit more, I think the United States in particular likes to put a political spin on a lot of the news. But, for example, global news stations, for example, the BBC usually, I think, is more facts oriented. They'll just tell you what's going on. They won't try to, force a certain, opinion on you, or, make you, or they'll just give you the straight story. Okay, this is what it is. And sometimes other news stations try to do this too. But again, a lot of it is, I think, more within the United States, is about trying to make it a political kind of debate, when maybe it doesn't even need to be political, or when they do, they try to put in some form of bias, and they don't look at it through any other lens, or at least try to get to the heart or the truth of the story. And I think that's a huge problem when it comes to the news of today. And again, they'll talk about irrelevant things for hours, and it drives me up the walls. There's just points where, they'll have something really engaging to say, and then other times it's just like, why am I even watching this? I can't do this anymore. So, I think that's the biggest issue that I sort of see with the news. It's just very, it seems to be very drama centered, and not necessarily kind of problem solving. And people just go on, and then they yell at each other, and it doesn't solve anything a lot of the time. And usually when they report information, they'll they'll be on a certain topic for hours on end, and you know, they don't they don't try to um, update you on other things that are going on, and yeah, I just think that's a big issue. And Yeah, I think that's ultimately everything that I can think of when it comes to news nowadays. Again, I think it is a lot more visually oriented. People are more tuning in on what's on the internet, you know, what you can get out of news snippets, you know, of somebody talking, as opposed to you reading the news. And if you do read the news, usually on the internet, you can find news and don't have to pay for anything. And at the same time, all you have to do is just read a little section of, and it doesn't really go into a huge amount of depth because everything is visual now. Everything is largely in front of you and is on a station uh, on the television or on the internet. So yeah, I think it's just crazy how it's changed over the years. I think it has always been about trying to bring out what's going on in the world, but at the same time, I feel like too much news is almost. I think the less news we have, the better. Only because you know usually no news is good news, as they say. Um, and I think if the news just could focus on trying to bring in facts and, you know, bring in maybe some more positive things. I mean, I think they do try to do it sometimes, but it seems like most of the time they like to talk about these very sensationalized topics and these kinds of controversies that maybe don't even necessarily exist. They maybe are just separate incidences that have happened on, you know, at a certain time. And then again, there's always a political angle that ends up getting shoved in there. And that is very frustrating. And yeah, there's just a lot about the news that bothers me nowadays. I don't like how there's just so much needless and pointless debates. I don't like how there's just so much unnecessary drama. And yeah, I think I avoid the news to a certain extent, but at the same time, I think once in a while I'll tune in and see what's going on, and then I'll leave because I know if I would watch it every single day, it would probably drive me nuts. Um, but yeah, I think that's really ultimately all I can say about this topic. I'd like to hear what other people have to say when it comes to news. Like, do they watch a particular news channel, or do you guys even tune into the news at all? Do you think a lot of it is very very biased, like I say? You know, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say about this particular topic. But again, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I would be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.